That's right. When you look at the 20th season of the AFA, to get to the top of the world of the AFA, you got to win the American Bowl. Welcome to the 2024 AFA Preview, and we are kicking off the 20th season of the American Football Association. So, yes, let's get on top of the world. Things kick off Orlando at Salt Lake City. The defending Salt Lake City Comets, defending American Bowl champions. I don't know if I'm as confident in them repeating as I was with St. Louis a couple of years ago. Teams have lost some key components to the roster, and we'll take a look at that. Let's start in that division with the Comets. I think my pick for that division, the West, is going to be Sacramento. Sacramento went out and added Dalvin Cook. They brought in Hercules Mataafa. They got Davian Nixon. They got Gabe Hall in the draft. They got Xavier Howard at corner. This team just got a lot of pieces, and I'm not big on Landry Jones at quarterback, but it might just be all Dalvin Cook and this defense. And, Howard and Cameron Kelly at corner, it's going to make it hard to throw on this team. So I look for Sacramento to win this division based on the pieces they brought in. Again, I'm not a Landry Jones fan, and it's hard to pick Landry Jones to win it, but it's hard to pick against Dalvin Cook and Xavier Howard. Oh, and Chase Claypool. Chase Claypool looks like he could be the second coming of Kelvin Benjamin. So, against my better judgment and my, my analysis of Landry Jones, I'm going to pick Sacramento to win it. I am going to pick Salt Lake City to still make the playoffs and come in second in this division. Tyson Bagent back. What a year he had. He's Rookie of the Year. Then walks off with the MVP trophy of the American Bowl. So congratulations to him. He is going to be a stud in this league for a long time. So, but they did, Fournette's back. But they did lose some pieces to this puzzle here. Kenny Golladay goes to Tulsa. Kenny Willikins, the lefty end, goes to Albuquerque. And then Marcus Cannon, the right tackle, he ends up in Columbus. So there was just enough pieces here to removed from this puzzle that I don't think the picture is a slam dunk. They win it all again. I think that Salt Lake City is going to have to figure out how to rely on Fournette and Bagent, and they might just try to outscore their opponents. So I think it's good enough for second. Third place, I think, goes to Portland, the Barons. They did go out and they got Wendell Smallwood to play tailback for them. Brandon Whedon is still at quarterback for them. Just Tristan Jackson, he didn't do anything last year in his first year after leaving San Diego. I just think that this team is probably a third place team, probably not likely to make the playoffs. Fourth place, I think, goes to the Frenzy. You never know what you're going to get with this team. I mean, Alaric Jackson, this offensive line is spectacular. Ronnie Jones II did not do, Ronald Jones II didn't do everything I thought he would for San Jose last year. Greedy Williams at corner, he was okay, he wasn't great. Josh Rosen at quarterback, hard to pick him to win it all. And Corey Coleman at wide receiver comes in from London. I think this team is good. And just like always, I think they'll surprise a lot of teams, but I still think they're a 6 or 7 win team and probably fourth place. Turning our attention to the Southwest, I think you got to go with the Arrows. They return basically their whole lineup from last year. They pick up Kenny Willikins to play lefty end, save some money there. he looks to be just as good as Cornelius Washington. No real drop off there. But basically, this whole team comes back, and yes, everybody's a year older, but I don't think they took a huge step back, and I think that's going to be good enough to win this division. Second place, I mean, the $18 million man, Cam Newton, the richest AFA contract in history. He gets 1 year, $18 million before he rides off into the sunset. We'll see how that plays out. Antoine Woods comes over from Barcelona. He'll pair up with Chris Hinton at D-tackle. They got Dwight McLaughlin in the first round. He's a solid corner. The offensive line is really good, starting with Chase Warmack. They also got Eric Fisher, Darrell Williams. It's a little old, but I think this offensive line can put it together one more year. I think this is a playoff team, and I'm going to pick them to be second. In third place, probably hard to pick them in third on most occasions, but the Sharks lost. They lose Eric Stryker. They lose Wendell Smallwood, and they weren't able to effectively replace either one of them. Nick Foles to Brashad Perryman, I think they'll have to score 2 touchdowns a game for them to be a real potential division winner. I'm going to go with third in here. That just feels normal to me. Again, this is kind of Dan Plumbaum and the Sharks are kind of like the Baltimore Ravens. They're never out of the playoff scene, and every once in a while they got to take a little step back, and that year they might be the 5th or 6th seed, and I think that's where the Sharks are going to be. Last but not least, or last and least in the Southwest, I think is Scorpions. They ran into huge salary cap issues, had to dump a ton of players, ton of talented players. I feel like this team is probably headed for a 3 or 4 win season, and it wouldn't surprise me if Matt Barkley is traded sometime before the deadline. I'm going to go and swing for the fences here, and I'm going to pick Tulsa to win the the Central Midwest, the Midwest Division. Still like Ziggy Ansah. Not a big Iyambi Okianoma fan. I don't think he's a generational talent like other people do. I do like them picking up Kenny Galladay. They pick up Tevin Coleman. They pick up Vernon Hargreaves. So I do think this team is going to be really good. And I think they have a lot of pieces of the puzzle to win this division, with one exception. If Chicago figures out how to get Joe Flacco better than he's been, I believe that J-Rob is the way to get this team to the playoffs. And I think they got to run the ball first, and I don't think they were ever as dangerous as 2 seasons ago when he set the single season rushing record. They really didn't pick up a whole lot during the offseason other than Savion Smith, but that was last season, so he's going to help there. But Eric Burrell comes over from Sacramento to play strong safety. I just don't see a whole lot of changes. I'm going to go with Tulsa over Chicago. Third place, hard for me to pick Osweiler, a Brock Osweiler-led team, but I'm going to go with St. Louis to be third. Robbie Chosen Anderson comes in, but they lose Cam Newton. They lose Holton Hill. They lose Dylan Moses. I'm sure there was somebody else in there, but I think they lost too many pieces of the puzzle. Lamar Jackson's still there. I think this team has some pieces to build on, and it was definitely time to get a fresh look, and Cam Newton They said goodbye to him even before free agency started. They acknowledged they were not bringing him back. So, very interesting things in Salt Lake City. I'm sorry, in St. Louis. Fourth place in here, I think, goes to the Griffins. I know they're very excited about the team they've put together. Leonard Taylor the third was the first overall pick. They got him. Last year's first pick, I think he was fourth overall, was Joey Fisher, and he really did not put together a good season. They spent big money on William Jackson. He has not done anything. Maybe if this team finally plays up to their talent, this whole team will improve. But I just don't see Detroit making the playoffs. I think St. Louis might be a smidge better, but I'm not 100% sure of that. So in the Stripes Conference, I think you're looking at Sacramento, Albuquerque, and Tulsa as your three division winners. I think you also have to have Salt Lake City making the playoffs, San Diego making the playoffs, and Chicago. So I think those are your six teams from the Stripes Conference to make the playoffs. Let's turn our attention over to what might be the toughest division in the league, and I'm going to say Europe is. I think Dublin showed everybody in the preseason tournament that they are for real. Abram Smith at running back, Cooper Rush at quarterback. A little light in the offensive line and the wide receiver category, but the defense is really good. I'm going to go with Dublin to win over a much improved London team. They go out and get a quarterback in Ryan Tannehill. They draft a D tackle in Fabian Lovett Sr. to pair up with Hankins. Shaq Lawson comes in. Ivan Pace Jr. is a beast at inside linebacker. They pick up Eli Apple. They got a real nice offensive line between Ben Boschwale and Tommy Kramer at guard. So I think this offensive line is good. I think Tannehill can get it. I think General Manager Eddie Ohanian still has to figure out how all these pieces fit into the playbook. But once he does that, I think London should make the playoffs. I think it's really hard to pick over the mock because every year they're really good. I just have a hard time thinking JT Barrett or Taj Boyd is going to lead this team to the promised land. And with, salary cap, you can't always go for it. David Johnson, I think, is surprisingly, I think he's going to be an upgrade over Bishop Sankey. I was surprised Sankey wasn't able to have a better season than he did. Josh Jobe, DeAndre Baker at corner. This is a really good secondary, and it's a very good defense. Just don't know if they can vault themselves past Dublin or London. With that said, that puts Mr. Lucky and the Barcelona Bulls in fourth place. Don't know if they can do much better than that unless injuries curtail Dublin, London, or Frankfurt. John Ross, the cheese man, still have him on the roster. So hard to pick against him and Blake Bortles, but I just don't know if they have all the ingredients to win it all here. Turning our attention to the East, I'm going to have to go with Intimidators. They looked real good in the preseason. Holton Hill gives them two very good shutdown corners, pairing him with Tavares McFadden. You got Mario Edwards Jr. and Ledbetter at each of the DN positions. Ben Heaney at inside linebacker. This is just a really good team. Devontae Fields, they got him. They got Eric Stryker. So, and I think Chad Kelly's going to stay healthy longer than RG3 did last year. And I think that's just makes them a safe pick. Again, hard to pick against somebody like RG3 and what he did for what he could do for Hartford. But if he doesn't play, I think this team is going to struggle. And because of that, I can't pick them to win it all. Love Jonathan Adams Jr., love J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. I even like Gibson, Xavier Gibson. Brennan Spawn Ford's going to be good. I'm just not sold on Jarrett Patterson. I mean, he didn't do squat last year or last 3 years in San Diego. So I think the running game and the question mark with RG3's health, that keeps me from picking them to win this division. It's even harder to pick against Columbus. Columbus had a ton of injuries last year. They did figure out how to get Carson Wentz involved, and once he did, Conley was hurt, but they had Will Fuller. I think Will Fuller and Chris Conley, if they can all stay healthy, I think this team could actually vault themselves ahead of both New York and Hartford. But we got to see it. Andre Carter the second from Army had a great year, runner-up Defensive Player of the Year, runner-up Rookie of the Year. Can he do that again? That'll be the question, because I think a lot of his stats came from having Michael Brockers on the inside of him, protected him real well. So I'm not sure he can do that again. Jay Ajayi, Trent Richardson, two-headed monster at tailback. I think this team should have a shot at making the playoffs. If everything goes well and they avoid all injuries, they could even win the division. Just hard to pick them based on the number of injuries they had last year and whether the defensive line will be as good without Brockers as they were last year. I think they're definitely an 8-win or more team. Just can't pick them above that at the time being. Fourth place, I think, the retirement of Matt Ryan hurts a lot. They replaced him with C.J. Beathard and Kellen Moore, and I think that's a minus. Kareem Hunt, 6 seasons in the AFA, 1 great season, and 3 mediocre seasons, and a season or 2 of average. So can he repeat? If he repeats that last year's season, then certainly they could probably win 8 games. But finding somebody to cover or replace Matt Ryan is going to be difficult. So for now, I'm going to pick the Americans to finish 4th in the East. Going to the last conference is the South, and we're going to look at the Stallions. This team I think, is prepped to win it. They pick up Martrez Ivy at right tackle. They also picked up Forrest Lamp at left guard. I'm not sold on their running back solution. Trey Regis, I don't think he's a 1,500-yard guy with 10, 12 touchdowns. I think he's a 1,200-yard guy with 6 to 7 touchdowns. So, and maybe they won't need it. A.J. McCarron's there now. They pick up Cade Johnson, who wasn't anywhere last year. Whoop Failure is at wide receiver. He had been with Hawaii last year. So I think the wide receivers in the tailback position need to improve. They pick up Shaka Tony. I think he's going to be good. Dylan Moses, they pick up him. He's going to be real good. He could have some injury issues. Martrez Ivy, again, he's going to be a stud at right tackle. And having McCarron all year, that's why I'm picking Stallions. They got to all stay healthy, but the pieces they brought in, I think the Stallions are going to win this division. Moving on to second place in here, they lost the preseason tournament championship to Dublin. Probably were not as good as Dublin, but they get Donovan Smith, they get TJ Clemens, and they already had Nate Herbig. So this offensive line looks real good. I think it can hide Sam Hartman long enough for Hartman to get the ball to BFW, Bryce Ford Wheaton, or Sammy Watkins. They got a really good pass-catching tight end from Colorado State in Dallin Holker. So I think this offense can really shine, and I think it's based on the offensive line. And I think last year when Nate Herbig got hurt, the season went down the tubes. Keeping him healthy. The defense is not as good as what Larry Martin believes it is. That secondary, I think, has issues. They're young. I don't know if they're quite as good. The other guy they picked up on the offensive line, Mason Cole, he's really good too. And Carl Nassib had a great year last year. I do think he can repeat that, especially with the talent they have at D tackle between Dan McCullers and Brian Moan. So I think this team is good for second. Third place, the Gales really didn't do a whole lot in the offseason. Johnny Manziel comes back. It's hard for me to pick him, to side with him as to win it all. EJ Manuel's back up. Jordan Howard hadn't done squat since he entered Orlando. John Bostic comes over from Tulsa to play the inside linebacker position. He makes a lot of tackles, but he's getting a little long in the tooth. I just think that this team is probably just a notch below playoffs. Last but not least in here is Birmingham. I don't know. You know, they pick up Phil Haynes and Marquise Haynes. Marquise Haynes is an undersized pass rushing right end. That typically doesn't work in this league. Hassan Ridgeway comes in to play D-tackle. I think he'll be good paired up with Shelton. Phil Haynes is a run blocker. I just don't think the offensive line is good enough to keep Carson Strong upright, and without him, I don't think they can win 8 games. And without him, if he gets hurt for 5, 6, 7 games like he did last year, I think they're a 3-win team. They lost Trent Richardson, who, yes, he's getting old, but he still had a great year. And they go with Isaiah Spiller, and I think Isaiah Spiller is actually a tailback too. They panicked, and they didn't have anybody to sign. And musical chairs at tailback, they end up with Isaiah Spiller late in free agency, and I just don't see him being great. I did like the first round pick. They got Garrett Greenfield. I think he could help. He's definitely going to improve the blind side. It's just the rest of the offensive line that I believe is going to hurt Carson Strong. So there's my picks. I got Dublin. I got New York. I got Louisville as your division winners. Making the playoffs, I think you got either Hartford and or Columbus. I think you got to like Frankfurt. I think you got to like London. Memphis is in there too. I think, Memphis, Columbus, Hartford, I think you're looking at 2 of those 3. And Barcelona potentially if they are lucky like they normally are. So that's a kind of a look at everything that I see going into it. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to go with Louisville winning it all over Chicago. I do think at some point Justin Kelly will get it figured out between Flacco and J-Rob. And I think I'm going to go with Louisville beating Chicago in the American Bowl. As always, good luck to everybody involved. And we'll figure out how to... who's going to win it all, and things get started real soon, and I am so excited to kick off the 20th season. So everybody needs to come out and play. You gotta keep them separated. Separated.